Imagine this, you are out of town on vacation and you get a phone call that your home has flooded and you don't know what to do about it. You've got to file an insurance claim. You find out that the company that you hired to help is actually taking that entire insurance check. What do? You call Harry. Better call Harry here. Harry Samler. I'm Anastasia Olmos, and this is Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First. Harry, tell us, what in the world is this story about?
There's so much behind the scenes on this one, how this all happened and how we negotiated a resolution for the viewer. She was renting a townhouse, and she goes to Arizona for New Year's because I believe she has family there. And she's in Arizona, and she gets a call from the neighbor that her townhouse is flooding from the top floor down.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like coming out the front door. What do you do? So,
Panic.
of course, you panic, and she gets on the phone with her landlord, and we'll get to the story in a minute. But there's a huge takeaway here for everybody who has insurance, and especially renters, because if you have a rental policy, you have to make sure that it doesn't just cover your contents and hotel, that if for some reason you're out of town and everything has to go into storage and they need to do an inventory and they need to box it all up and then eventually move it back, that you have enough money to cover that. Yep. And in this case, the way it was going down, she didn't have enough.
And the pipe, it burst here.
For Elena Botley, the timing was terrible. She was vacationing in Arizona when the townhouse she rents flooded from the top floor down. Imagine that call.
Panic mode. My neighbor literally called me screaming, Elena, your pipe burst. There's water coming from under the door.
The videos and the pictures show how much damage water can do in a short amount of time. Elena was 1,800 miles away when she called her landlord. You were more concerned about the landlord than you were about your stuff at that time?
Well, yeah, because like I said, I've been there 8 years. They are awesome.
The property owners hired a disaster company, and it recommended a packout company to pack up everything that wasn't damaged and move it into storage. So you hired this company based on a recommendation.
Yep, the company was hired based on a recommendation.
You signed the contract.
Signed the contract after the work was done, because remember, it was an emergency situation, so they kind of did it quickly.
Elena flew home and moved into an extended stay hotel. But that's when things got messy. She says she asked about the fee to clean and store her belongings, but says she never got a clear answer.
And I'm still waiting to get a cost on the storage packout.
In fact, the first time she heard about the bill was when she called her insurer. It was $25,000. Her rental policy maxed out at $26,000, leaving $1,000 for housing and everything she lost. Elena had a good reason to question that bill. What do you do for a living?
I am an insurance adjuster, and I also have a life insurance agency. I'm an agency owner, so I am all things insurance, essentially.
Her insurer got the bill reduced to $18,000. But over the next 5 months, the dispute continued. Elena had the insurance payout money, but the packout company had her stuff, nearly 300 boxes. The only good news was when her landlord called to tell her she could move back in.
All of this is just brand spanking new.
This is all new.
This is all new.
I can see why you're coming back
I
here.
know, and why I stayed. I know it was a lot, but it was definitely worth it.
But what about her stuff? The packout company provided Atlanta News First Investigates with documentation of the work it did. But it was clear the two sides needed a compromise. With our help, they did. Elena got her belongings, 292 boxes to be exact, and she agreed to give the packout company $13,000. That gives her $13,000 to cover everything else. All right, for once, I am going to take credit for getting it down.
You took it down, Harry. You took that down.
And now it's done. In 10 seconds or less, how do you feel?
I feel new. I do. I feel new. I feel fresh. I feel happy. I feel excited. I feel blessed. I feel fortunate, and I feel relieved.
There's a huge takeaway here because your rental policy may cover your contents plus living expenses, but if there's a flood or smoke damage from a fire, you want coverage for cleaning and storage. So ask your insurer for help and tell the disaster company that you have coverage, but get an estimate up front. And if it goes over, require written approval. On Better Call Harry, Atlanta News First Investigates.
And of course, Harry has to pat himself on the back there for another big win.
Wait, hang on a second, okay? Did you hear me say for once I'm taking credit? Because look, when we do these stories on TV, if you were to go on TV every time and go, look what I did, I mean, listen, they reached out to us and we kind of helped facilitate this. But yeah, you're right. We did take credit on this one because there's no way this bill was coming down if we hadn't gotten involved. And a little behind the scenes here, getting on the phone with the owner of the packout company. There's a reason why we didn't name him in the story, and that's because he was able to justify the charges that he submitted to the insurance company. So now the original charges were 25 grand. They came back and said, no, this is more like 18. And he's like, yeah, and I brought it down because we weren't going to bring everything back. And then so the dispute begins. And then we asked him to send us that information, and he did. So there was a process here. You could see through all the emails that this just got into a standoff. And I finally said to the guy, hey, look, she's got 13,000. That's all she has left because the rest is going for replacement and hotel and all that. Is there any chance would you be willing to consider that? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, I may eat some of the cost on this one, which who knows if he actually did, but
that's nice.
He immediately, and then we arranged a meeting, and once they got together, she actually left some boxes behind and he delivered them to her. So, I mean, it all
That's one phone call from Better Call Harry. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I know it was more than that, but I'm just really glad that they were able to work it out. And she also admitted, she's like, wow, I didn't realize I had this much stuff in storage.
Right. Okay, I kind of want to go back a little bit because when you said packout company, I was like, what? Huh? So explain to me what these types of companies do.
I mean, it's a disaster relief company, but their job is to come in and pack up or pack out all of your belongings. They take inventory of everything. If there's anything damaged, it's their job. They'll take it back to their warehouse and have it cleaned or send it out to be cleaned if it's furniture, because you've got two major issues for the most popular. I shouldn't say the most popular disasters. So, yeah, the most common disasters, like popular. Why fires are more popular than... Anyway, so it's fire or flood, basically, that you're dealing with. And if anything that gets wet and gets mold on it, I mean, somebody has to clean it or trash it. And then when you trash it, you have to have that inventory and pictures to submit it to the insurance company. So that's what they do. It's a little more detailed than then just coming over and like packing up your stuff.
Okay. And so these types of rates, when you said $25,000, I thought, well, that sounds like a scam. But no, if they are really, doing this type of work, it really is about 20 grand?
No, I don't think so. And that's the other thing in this case. I think they were a little, they said there's a process that they use called Xactimate that the insurance companies use where you put everything in there and it pops out a number and you give that to the insurance company and then the insurance company will come back and say, yeah, no, we're not paying that amount. But he said when he put everything through the Xactimate that's how it came back. But I talked with an insurance expert.
Yeah.
Actually, I called my agent, who I go to from time to time. I'm not going to say which company.
Just for advice.
I've got like a little secret source, by the way. And I called her up and I'm like, hey, is this normal? And she's like, no.
Oh, no.
She's like, this probably, it sounds more like maybe 10,000. So maybe 13,000 was really about what it should have been. But remember, this woman, while we're out there, we're talking to her, she's like, oh yeah, I'm an insurance claims adjuster. So she thought it was going to be around 10,000.
Okay.
That's what she was anticipating. But the most important thing about this story is what we were talking about earlier, is that her rental policy only covered contents. When she got a check, the explanation for that $26,000 was for contents. So, but remember, she's also got hotel, she's got food,
Yeah.
and then she's got this storage fee. So, huge takeaway for everybody is to look at your policy. And some insurers do offer an add-on where you can cover packing up all your stuff and moving it into storage, because who knows how long it's going to be before you can move back in.
Right, and that's something that so I'm a renter right now, and that's something that I didn't even know would be an option. I kind of just do that basic package. What do I pay? Maybe a couple hundred every couple months, just to make sure that if anything were to happen inside of my rental, that I'm covered. But that's good. What is that kind of coverage that people should be looking at?
What you do is you call your agent, or you call your insurance carrier,
Okay.
and just say, what do I have coverage for? Because most people don't look at their policies. I mean, it's mailed to them, and you're not going to sit there and go through every single clause. But I would call them and say, okay, there's two types of renters policies, by the way. The ones that the insurance complexes make you buy
Right.
is for liability. They don't care about your contents. And most people think, well, they made me buy insurance, so I'm covered. No, your liability is covered in case you burn their complex down, or in case you damage somebody else's property. So you need to ask if, number one, if you have, on top of liability, coverage for your contents, figure out how much stuff you have. And then after that, how much coverage do I want for hotel and food, because I'm going to be out for a while, and then ask them about storage fees.
It's a good idea to get on top of this right now as we're heading into storm season, right? And just making sure that your insurance policies are tucked away and ready in case of an emergency. We actually have lots of articles on this and this exact story. Of course, you can email us, you can call us, better call Harry if you need a solution like this. Oh my goodness, he does amazing work. You can find us on atlantanewsfirst.com. You can watch us on YouTube. All of our stories are on there, as well as these podcasts. And you can listen to us anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple TV, and anywhere else. This is Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First.